Today we have the last part of chapter 1. In the portraits of the artist as a young man, we have the unfair punishment. Okay, so we left Stephen terror stricken at the Christmas dinner table after seeing the clash of politics and religion. Here he's back to Clongowes. He's seeing a group of boys talking to each other in groups. There's something wrong happening at school, but he doesn't really know what's going on. He's hearing whispers. There are boys that being caught. He doesn't know why they are being caught, and they are all thinking who caught them, where were they caught, and why. Okay, so where were they caught? They were caught near the hills of Lyons. Who caught them? Mr. Gleason and the minister. Why did they run away? Okay, here is a problem. Every boy in the group is just throwing a guess, and he's saying it in a certain way that everyone is believing him. One of them said that they stole money from the rector's room. Can you believe that? He's stealing from the rector. They stole money. Okay, who stole the money? They say on King Kim's brother, if you remember Kikim. Like King Kim's brother stole him. Okay, uh, we have strange words here. For example, he have they affect cash from the rector. Fact, it means they stole. They found him scutting, which means scutting. They were running away. Um, some Wells, for example, said no, they didn't steal money from the rector's room. They drank the altar's wine. They were caught from the smell. They smelled them, so they knew they were stealing wine and drinking it. Here, Stephen, again, when when he's listening to all those groups and saying all these things, only thing he can think of is how could people do that in a holy place? He remembers the holy place by the aroma and the smell and the what? Fire, of course. He keeps on coming back to the fire and charcoal imagery. He says he remembers the time when he was a boat bearer and and he describes in details the fire and the smell of religious men and all that. Okay. The fellows all were silent. Stephen stood among them, afraid to speak, listening. A faint sickness of awe made him feel weak. How could they have done that? He thought of the dark, silent sacristy. There were dark wooden presses there where the crimps. You see, he's describing the chapel, and it was a holy place. He remembered when he was a boat bearer at the procession. He keeps continuing. A strange and a holy place. The boy that held the censer had swung it gently to and fro near the door, with the silvery cape lifted by the middle chain to keep the cool lightning. That was called charcoal. It had burned quietly as the fellows had swung it gently, and it had given off a weak sour smell. And then, when all were rested, he had stood holding out the boat to the rector, and the rector had put spoonful of incense in it, and it had hissed on the red coal. You see, everyone is talking about a lot of things, and he keeps remembering holy places by the fire, smell, the look, the sound, sensory reactions, sensory experiences. Okay, so here he's saying that all the groups were talking together in groups, but he couldn't see them very well. Why? Fellow seems to him to have grown smaller. That was because a sprinter had knocked him down the day before, a fellow out of the second of grammar. He had been thrown by the fellow's machine lightly on the cinder path, and his spectacles had been broken in three pieces, and some of the grit of the cinder had gone into his mouth. That was why the fellow seems to him smaller and farther away. Here he cannot see very well. All the boys are in the park in the playground, but no one is playing football. They're all playing a cricket because a cricket match is coming, and he cannot see them very well because his glasses were broken into pieces. So here it's a very beautiful imagery that will be repeated, and it will be woven nicely. Here he's hearing the cricket bat. You see, in the sport of cricket, players use a bat, which is a very heavy wooden stick. It's very painful, you know. It makes loud noises and sounds that he's every time and then when the boys are speaking, he returns to the voice that the bat makes every time it hits the ball. Okay. And the sound he's describing, they said pick, pack, pock, puck. Little drops of water in a fountain slowly falling in the brimming bowl. It just comparing the sounds with the water again. See how many times we have the imagery of fire, water, and those sounds. Okay. Everyone was accusing two kinds of people, two boys especially. Those boys, they were caught smugging in the square. Smugging, if you look it up in the dictionary, you cannot find the meaning of the word. And it, as if James Joyce is telling you that if you don't understand the word, it means Stephen is not understanding the word. He's trying to guess it by questioning and by keep asking himself, what is going on? What is the meaning of the word? Why are they caught smugging? What does it mean? Okay, if you have an annotated text, it shows you that they were caught masturbating or having a sexual intercourse, homosexual. Not clear what's going on, but the boy doesn't even know what is it. Why did the five fellows out of the higher line run away for that? It was a joke, he thought. Simon Moonan had a nice clothes, and one night he had shown him a bowl of a creamy sweets that the fellows of the football 15 had rolled down to him along the carpet in the middle of the rectory when he was at the door. It was the night of the match against here. If you remember, Manon was a great footballer and he's going to be the captain of the team. So, of course, the bowl of chocolate was just like the red and green apple, only it's open and it was full of creamy sweets. And one day, Boyle, which is another boy, had said that an elephant has two tuskers instead of two tusks. That's why he was called Tusker Boyle. But some fellows called him Lady Boyle because he was always at his nails paring them. It's very important how he describes the boys. He's seeing one as having a ball, representative of the male figure, and the other one having tuskers, as if a lady, at his nails. One is acting as a girl, and the other is acting as a boy. Okay, so of course, the hands of Boyle reminds him of Elaine's hands. Elaine had long, thin, cool, white hands too, because she was a girl. Look at the comparison. They were like ivory, only soft. That was the meaning of Tower of Ivory. Who is the Tower of Ivory? If you remember, we said it last lecture. We said it was a Christian. It was sorry, Virgin Mary. But the Protestants could not understand it and made fun of it. One day, he had stood beside her looking into the hotel grounds. A waiter was running up to trail bunting. Here he's going on describing how beautiful Elaine was and how she had a beautiful golden hair and white hands. That's why he's making the connection like she had hair of gold like the sun. She could be the house of gold. And because she has white hands, she can be the Tower of Ivory. She can be both a Protestant and Catholic, not only a Protestant who claims that Virgin Mary is only gold, while Catholic think ivory. By thinking of things, you can understand them, you see. Okay, now we have the cricket bat, which was used at the background. It's the background music that pick pick pock. And then comes the talking of the boys. The boys were caught smuggling in the square, doing something very bad. That's why they're going to be flogged. And the flogging and they are going to use a bandy bat. Bandy bat here, Stephen immediately, because he haven't seen a bandy bat and he doesn't know what a flogging is, he's just guessing. He connects that bandy bat with a cricket bat and he concentrate now on the voices that the cricket bat makes with a vowel. And they told him, yeah, we're gonna be flogged, all of us. We're gonna be punished for something we haven't done. The fellows laughed, but he felt they were a little afraid. In the silence of the soft gray air, he heard the cricket bat from here and from there. Pock! That was a sound to hear. But if you were hit, then you would feel a pain. See? He's comparing that sound. He says, if I'm to be hit with that bat, I think I would feel pain and not only the voice. The bandy bat made a sound too, but not like that. The fellow said it was made of a whalebone and leather with lead inside, and he wondered what was the pain like. There were different kinds of sound. A long, thick cane would have a higher whistling sound, and he wondered what was that pain like. It made him shivery to think of it, and cold. And what Adi said too. You say, Adi said that we're going to be flogged with our trousers, uh, let down. Here he's shivering at the thought. But was there to laugh at it? It made him shivery. But that was because you always felt like a shiver when you let your trousers down. It was the same in the bath when you undress yourself. He wondered who had let them down, the master or the boy himself. Oh, how could they laugh about that way? He's wondering if they were all going to be punished for the boy's mistake. They are going to be flogged and their trousers should be let down. He's wondering, is he going to undress himself or is the master is going to undress him? This idea scared him and he was afraid and he's wondering why are the boys are not afraid and they're laughing and joking about it. Here again, we have the voice stopped his stream of consciousness by saying, all in! The famous word that he keeps cutting his stream of consciousness, just like we were in the soccer field. All in. Now, he keeps thinking, what a kind of a sin. Sin. What is sin? They were caught stealing from the rector, it's a sin. If they drank the wine of God's altar, it's a sin. If they were caught smuggling, it's a sin. But still, it was strange and a great sin, even to touch it. To touch what? To touch anything that is related to God. Here he is refaining to the wine. He thought of it with a deep awe, a terrible and strange sin. Was that a sin? Okay, now he's keep connecting what things are in school that are considered sin. For example, we have Father Arnell. He's always in a wax. In a wax, it means he gets angry very quickly. He's saying, was that a sin for Father Arnell to be in a wax? Is it also a sin? So here, the boys were warned that they are all going to be punished by the rector, the prefect of the study, the prefect of the studies. Why? Because some boys were caught doing something bad, and all the priests should punish all the kids so they will know that they will gonna be punished. Here we have Stephen with his arms folded, sitting in his chair, not doing his homework because he was excused of studies. Of course, you remember because his glasses are broken, so he cannot write simply because he cannot see anything. So the teachers told him, "You're excused. You don't have to do any kind of job." Father Arnell was angry with the boys because all of them didn't do their homework. He kept asking them for the plural form of one word, and no one knows. And what makes things worsen, Fleming was one of the lazy boys, and instead of giving the plural form or just simply saying, I don't know it, he made fun of the word and he said, I don't think it has a plural. So Father Arnell got angry with him. He told him to come and kneel in the front of the class because you behaved badly. At that moment, the door opened quietly and closed. A quick whisper ran through the class. The prefect of studies, his name is Father Dolan. There was an instant of dead silence, and then the loud crack of a bandy bat on the last desk. Stephen's heart leaped up in fear. Okay, he was scared. Why? Because Father Dolan just hit the desk with a bandy bat. It made a very, very powerful, scary voice for for the boys. Any boys want to flogging here, Father Arnell? Cried the prefect of studies. Any lazy, idle loafers that want flogging in this class? He's asking Father Arnell, are there any boys who are not doing their homework? You see, this is a bandy bat. You can see how fat it is. It's this flogging is really damaging, unfair, and it's sadistic. And it was really cruel. It's used by most of the priests in Jesuit colleges. Okay, so here he returns. He flogs Father Dolan sees Fleming kneeling on the floor. He asked Father Arnell why is he kneeling. He says he didn't do his homework. So Father Dolan, flogged him severely and painfully. And then he was about to get out, and he's saying, tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, I'll be back and I'll flog you and I'll hit you because you didn't do your homework. And before he leaves, he just turned to Stephen and he noticed that Stephen is not writing. He said, Hey boy, why aren't you doing your homework? Stephen's heart jumped suddenly. He said, What's your name? He said, Daedalus, sir. Why are you not writing like the others? Ah, my. He could not speak with fright. Why is he not writing, Father Arnell? He broke his glasses, said Father Arnell, and I exempted him from his work. He told him that he gave him the permission not to write. Broke? What is that I hear? What is this? Your name. Your name is, said the prefect of studies. Daedalus, sir. Out here, Douglas! Lazy little schemer. I see a schemer in your face. Where did you break your glasses? Okay. Here, he, Stephen, you can imagine, the best boy in school, in class, who always comes first, is going to be, let's see. Stephen stumbled into the middle of class, blinded by fear and haste. Where did you break your glasses? Repeated the prefect of studies. The cider path, sir. Oh, the cider path, cried the prefect of studies. I know that trick. Stephen lifted his eyes in wonder and saw for a moment Father Dolan's white grey, not young face, his baldy white grey head with a fluff at the side of it, the steel rim of his spectacles, and has no colored eyes looking through the glasses. Why did he say he knew that trick? Lazy idle little loafer, cried the prefect of studies. Broke my glasses. An old schoolboy trick. Out with your hands this moment. Stephen closed his eyes and held out in the air his trembling hand with the palms upward. He felt the prefect of studies touch it for a moment at the fingers to straighten it, and then a swish of the sleeve of sodden as the bandibat was lifted to strike. A hot, burning, stinging, tingling blow, like the loud crack of a broken stick, made his trembling hand crumble together like a leaf in fire. And at the sound and the pain, scalding tears were driven into his eyes. His whole body was shaking with fright. His arms were shaking, and his crumbled, burning, livid hands shook like a loose leaf in the air. A cry sprang to his lip, a prayer to be let off. But thought the tears scalded his eyes, and his limbs quivered with pain and fright, he held back the hot tears and the cry that scalded his throat. Pure, pure boy is punished unfairly, and he's describing in a very beautiful imagery how his hands is just like a paper burning in fire. Okay. Other hand, shouted the prefect of the studies. It shows you the psychological and physical agony that Stephen was going through. Stephen drew back his hands and quivering right arm, he held out his left hand. The soutane sleeve swished again as the bandibat was lifted, and a loud crashing sound and a furious maddening, tightened, burning pain made his hands shrink together with the palms and the fingers quivering mass. The scalding water burst forth from his eyes. Okay, you can see, burning with shame and agony and fear, he drew back his shaking arms in terror and burst out in a whine of pain. His body shook. Okay, but he didn't cry, you see. All of this, and he didn't cry. That was not the end. The prefect of the study forced him to kneel. Kneel down, cried the prefect of the study. Stephen knelt down quickly, pressing his beaten hands to his side to think of them, beaten and swollen with pain. All in a moment made him feel so sorry for them, as if they were not his own, but someone else's that he felt sorry for. And so he knelt, calming the last sob in his throat, feeling the burning, tingling pain pressed into his side. He thought of the hands which he had held out in the air with the palms up, and the firm touch of the prefect of the study when he had studied, the shaking fingers, and of the beaten, swollen, reddened mass of palm and fingers that shook helplessly in the air. Okay, he is completely ashamed. Here he is questioning. Here he's in doubt. He has his faith in religion is shaken, and his faith in politics is shaken. The two things that everyone he loves is fighting for, he himself doesn't believe in anymore. Okay, it was unfair and cruel because the doctor had told him not to read without glasses, and he had written home to his father that morning to send him a new pair. And Father Arnell had said that he need not study till the new glasses came. Then to be called a schemer before the class and to be bandied when he always got the card for the first or the second, and he was the leader of the orchestras. How could the prefect of the study know that it was a trick? He felt the touch of the perfect fingers as they had studied his hand. You know, at first he had thought he was going to shake hands with him because the fingers were soft and firm. But then, in an instant, he had heard the swish of the satin sleeve and the crash. It was cruel and unfair to make him kneel in the middle of class. And Father Arnell had told him both, yani for him and Fleming, they might return to their places without making any difference between them. He listened to Father Arnell's low and gentle voice as he corrected the theme. Perhaps he was sorry now and wanted to be decent, but it was unfair and cruel. The prefect of the studies was a priest, and that was cruel and unfair. And his white gray face and the no colored eyes behind the serums were cruel. Why? He keeps saying that unfair, cruel. Called him a schemer? Why did he call him a schemer? Okay, now everyone is trying to convince him that he was wrongly accused, he was wrongly punished. And he kept thinking, what should I do? What should I do? Should I go and tell the rector about him? And he keeps remembering, why didn't Father Dolan remember his name? Why could he not remember the name when he was told the first time? Was he not listening the first time? Or was it to make fun out of his name? The great men in history had names like that, and nobody made fun of it. Nobody made fun of them. Here, he is knowing, he's understanding the significance of his name. Deadless. Okay. He said, and then he makes fun of Father Dolan's name. It was his own name that he should have made fun of if he wanted to make fun. Dolan. It was like the name of a woman who washed clothes. Okay. So, everyone convinced him to go to the rector's and tell him what happened to him. So, Stephen collected his strength and he went to the rector. He said, okay, bad thing could happen. The rector could go and tell Father Dolan that Stephen ratted on you, and Father Dolan will come and bandy him. That's the worst version. Or the rector would just shout at him and tell him, okay, you deserve it. Or he could give him his right. Okay, so he kept thinking, what should I do? What's worse? Should I or shouldn't? So he decided to go. Through the way that he's going to the rector's room, he was watching all the pictures on the walls of saints and martyrs and people and great men in history. He said, okay, all those great men have their pictures on the wall because they sacrificed. They were strong enough. They stood up for what they believe in. They stood up for their rights. Even if someone kills me, my picture will be on the wall because I wanted my right. He went to the rector, he told him what happened, and the rector sympathized with him, and he told him that he will talk to Father Dolan about him. So here he achieved victory. He left the rector's room, but at the same time he was scared and he couldn't just believe what he had just done. So he ran as fast as he could to get out of that place. The fellows, his group, caught him running. They close around him in a ring, pushing against another to hear, tell us, what did he say? What did you do? What did you do? Tell us. He told him what he did, and they were happy. He told them, and they flung their caps, springing, hooray, hooray! They caught their caps and sent them back again, hooray, hooray! They made a cradle of their locked hands and hoisted him among them, carried him along till he struggled to get free. And when he had escaped from them, he broke away in all directions, flinging. They broke away in all directions, flinging their caps again in the air and saying, "Hooray! Hooray!" Here he is cheered and celebrated as if he is a hero of a soccer match, and everyone is happy because he done something great. At the same time, here he has an epiphany. He realizes that a hero is not his role yet. He wants to be free. He struggled to be free. The cheers died away in the soft gray air. He was alone. He was happy and free. Okay? So he knows that if he wants to be a champion, he's still going to be alone and he will always want to be free. But he would not be anyway proud with Father Dolan. He has to be careful. He would be very quiet and obedient, and he wished that he could do something kind for him to show him that he was not proud. This is epiphany. Epiphany is very important device that James Joyce uses throughout his literary works, and I'm going to make you a small lecture just describing and analyzing epiphany. So here, this ends, this section of the story of this chapter ends with the fellows practicing long shies and bowling laps and slow twisters. And the soft gray silence, he could hear the bump of the balls from here and from there through the quiet air, the sound of a cricket bat, pick, pack, pock, pick, like drops of water in a fountain falling softly in a ringing bowl. He starts and ends with the same sounds, imagery, and feeling. Thank you for listening. See you in the next lecture.